Kevin, did you put your wife in a rear naked chokehold and strangle her to death?
No.
Did you do anything to cause the contusion on the back of her head?
No, I did not.
Did you do anything to cause Marcy's death?
No, I did not.
Turning to the jury to give those answers, Kevin West testifying in his own defense. We are minutes away from watching every single minute of the unaired footage of that testimony. We've got it for you here at Court TV. Jury deliberations are going to resume at noon Eastern. So remember, the judge has restrictions on us. We can film, and only after the court day is over can we broadcast it. So with the long weekend, we haven't shown his testimony yet. So you're going to see it all this morning on Court TV Live. Now, there's really a lot to unpack here. Kevin West is accused of murdering his wife, Marcy. And in addition to his testimony, there were several other impactful moments. Let's take a look together now.
What reluctance did Kevin West convey to you about divorcing Marcy?
Financial, losing half of his stuff and half of his pension.
They never, had a lot of displays of affection with company, right? So, but I noticed that there was just a lot of tension in the household.
I believe Kevin and Marcy loved each other. I think they grew out of being in love.
Did he say something to you about Marcy's passing?
Yes.
What did he say?
That he was relieved and that a burden had been lifted off his shoulders.
Kevin called in the morning to tell me that Marcy had passed away during the night.
Did Kevin say that receiving some money would be helpful?
Yes.
And what is the current, are you and Kevin West in a romantic relationship? Yes. And what is the current state of your relationship?
We're engaged.
And you say that that's what you would do every time?
Every time. Not in the same order, but right at the beginning.
So your testimony today is that you would do this every time?
Every time.
All right, so who was the most impactful witness for you in this case so far? And what do you think about Kevin West making the decision to testify? How about that? Let's talk about it all. Let's bring back in J.P. Miller and Ben Chu. All right, so let's start with the witnesses. So we've seen some witnesses take the stand. Some have been better than others. JP, you were just telling me off camera, you think the medical examiner's testimony is really huge here for both sides. Kind of dive into why you think that, please.
Yeah, so during a trial, most times when a medical examiner gets on, they either win the jury or they lose them because they're falling asleep. So it's really about how they portray it and present to the jury. But the aspect of if they believe the medical examiner and the injuries, then they very well may convict. The issues with the medical examiner is there had to be a second autopsy. She had to be confronted by additional witnesses like, hey, after your autopsy was complete, bring the body back because she may have been murdered. And then that's what we have. And so I think there's some issues.
Right.
So whether the jury, even if they do believe the medical examiner, there could have been injuries that were sustained to the body during transport, during the actual autopsy itself. So I think those are hurdles that are actually good for the defense. But I truthfully believe it could go either way.
Yeah, excellent points, JP, because for anybody maybe not following this case or if you're unfamiliar, in the first autopsy, everybody thought this was just a seizure that caused the death, largely based on his statements, the responders encountering him trying to save her. And then it wasn't until investigators got suspicious that, wait a second, suddenly he's moved on with this other woman, we're hearing a lot of noise, let's do another autopsy and be sure. And then she's seeing the marks on the front of the neck that indicate that Marcy West was manually strangled to death. I have a clip from the ME. This is where she's saying it couldn't have been the massage that killed Marcy. Let's look.
The location of the contusion is, part of it is over a bony prominence, which is not a focus of a tissue massage. If there is slow, continual pressure of the tissues sufficient to cause bleeding in the muscles, I would expect there to be injury to the skin surface.
Oh, okay, so she's saying could not be, you don't massage bones. And then in comes the son, Kevin and Marcy West's son, who looks just like his dad, comes in as a defense witness and says it was this, high pressure massage that he gave the night before that Marcy needed because of suffering she has with headaches and a long history of headaches. And he didn't mention it when he was initially questioned, but look, they were in a lot of shock. This is a terrible time. He lost his mom. Clearly, he's siding with dad for this jury. This poor young man loses mom, could lose dad to prison, depending on what the jury does. Ben, tell me, how impactful do you think the son and his testimony will be with the jury?
I think it's extremely helpful for the defense, and it helps counteract some of the really damning testimony some of the other witnesses gave. I mean, who says that he's relieved when his wife dies, or that it's a relief of a financial burden? And, he's already involved and engaged to another woman. I think all of that is extremely damaging, offset somewhat by the son and somewhat by his own testimony. I think his decision to take the stand is probably a good one. He comes across as fairly credible, but I agree with JP. I think this one could go either way.
Yeah, I really can, Ben. And I want to ask you about that. The decision Kevin West made to testify, we were all wondering, and then we get the news late on Friday, and I can't wait to see it. None of us have seen it. This is brand new footage. We're going to be airing at 9 a.m. Tell me, JP, when it comes to saving himself, I don't know who's in a better position to do that in a trial like this. What do you think about him taking that chance?
I think there's a good chance because he's comes off as believable. If he's able to interact with the jury, that gives him to soften the blows that he's been taking and taking and taking. He's been made to seem like a terrible, terrible person, which he may be, but this is his opportunity to tell his side of the story, say what happened, and explain his case.
Yeah, definitely. Even just that little clip got me so interested to see, Ben, you teach trial advocacy, as he's turning to give those answers to the jury with the questions. That tells me that somebody did a lot of prep work with him. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. He looked at the jury, but he didn't linger too long with the jury because that can be off-putting. I thought he was very well, maybe coached is too strong a word, but I thought his whole affect was quite convincing.
Yes, well prepared. And on a case like this, Ben, when this defendant's looking at potentially life in prison if he's convicted, and when you weigh those risks with a client, would you think that this may be worth the risk to get up there?
Absolutely. And Julie, as you know, it's his choice. I mean, ultimately, it's completely up to the client whether he wants to testify. He seems quite confident, and I think it may be a good bet for him.
Definitely. JP, I think that this is a smart decision for him to roll the dice. I think rarely do defendants help themselves, but every now and again you get a case where, look, he's the last person to see her, alive and deceased, to try to save her life. There's documentation of it. He's a firefighter. He's got a history of service. I think there's a lot going in his favor. Not in his favor is the fact that we know he was cheating and had the mistress for many, many years, and he was planning to leave Marcy on that day. Tell me what you're most looking forward to seeing when it comes time for his cross.
I think they're going to attack him severely on the lack of intervention. He's a battalion chief. He has all this medical history and training and experience. The same things that make him credible to the jury could be discredited very easily just by not rendering care.
Yeah. Boy, great insight from you both.